All right, today we're going to follow the incredible journey of a single customer order. We're going to trace its path from just one click of a mouse all the way through a company's entire system, right until the cash is sitting in the bank. So let's dive in.
It seems so simple, doesn't it? You click buy, and a few days later, a box shows up. But what's really going on behind the scenes? Well, that one little click sets off this massive chain reaction, a cascade of data and decisions that ripples through an entire company. And we're about to see exactly how that works.
So there's actually a name for this whole process. It's called the order-to-cash cycle, or O2C for short. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It covers that entire journey from the second an order is received to the moment the payment is collected. And make no mistake, getting this cycle right is the absolute lifeblood of any company.
Okay, so our story begins with a single spark of demand. This is where it all kicks off.
So picture this. A salesperson gets an order from a customer. We'll just call them ABC Company. They need 10 units of a certain product. The salesperson punches that into the system, and just like that, a formal demand is created. And boom, the first domino has officially been pushed.
But here's our first plot twist. The system checks the warehouse, and the inventory for this item is 0. Yep, nothing. The shelf is totally empty. All of a sudden, that simple order has turned into a problem that the entire system now has to solve.
And this is where the magic really starts to happen. The system doesn't panic. It makes a plan. It literally creates a blueprint for how to satisfy this new customer demand.
An automated process called master planning kicks in. You can think of this as the system's central brain. It takes a look at all the incoming demand, like our order for 10 units, and it instantly calculates the absolute most efficient way to get it done.
Now here's a really critical safety check. The system doesn't just start building things all on its own. First, it creates what's called a planned order, and this is just a suggestion. Then, a human planner has to review it and firm it. That human approval is the crucial step that turns the suggestion into a real, live production order. It prevents all kinds of costly mistakes before a single part is even made. So, with the blueprint approved, the digital plan now moves into the physical world. The factory floor gets the signal, and it's time to start forging the actual product.
Now, once it's on the factory floor, the production order has its own little journey. It starts as scheduled, which basically puts it on the production calendar. Then it gets released to the team on the floor. The status flips to started the very moment the work begins. Once those 10 units are built, it's reported as finished. And finally, after all the costs are tallied up, the order is ended, and that closes this chapter of its life. But how does the system keep track of the costs through all this? Well, it uses two kinds of digital logbooks. The picking list journal is like a shopping receipt. It tracks every single raw material that gets used. That's the what. The route journal is like a timesheet. It tracks all the labor hours spent. That's the who. And together, they give a perfect real-time accounting of exactly what it costs to make the product. And just like that, production is done. The system's inventory instantly updates from 0 to 10. We now have the exact product we needed, ready and waiting to fulfill ABC Company's original order. Problem solved. We've made the product, which is great, but our journey isn't over yet. Now we have to cover the final mile, getting that product to the customer and, getting paid for it. So the warehouse team springs into action. They see the 10 units are available, and they get them ready for shipping. The key step here is posting a packing slip. And this isn't just a piece of paper. It's a digital confirmation in the system that says, hey everyone, the goods have officially left the building and are on their way. And the moment that packing slip gets posted, the finance department gets an automatic alert to send out the invoice. Then, when ABC Company pays, that payment gets logged in a payment journal and applied right to the invoice, marking it as settled. And there we have it. From the initial order to the final payment, the journey is now complete. Full circle. So let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big picture here. Yeah, we've followed one order, but in doing that, we've actually seen how an entire business is supposed to work together. I mean, think about the teamwork we just witnessed. Sales created that initial spark. Planning drew up the blueprint. Production actually built the thing. The warehouse got it out the door, and finance collected the payment. That's 5 different departments, all working in perfect harmony, orchestrated by one single system, all just to fulfill one order. And really, this gets to the heart of it. The real power here is having a single source of truth. Every single department is looking at the exact same data at the exact same time. This just eliminates all the confusion and delays, and it creates this seamless flow from that first click all the way to cash in the bank. And that leaves us with one final thought. We've just seen how incredibly powerful a connected system can be. So what happens when that chain of information is broken? What are the real costs when you have disconnected data and departments that don't talk to each other? Something to think about.